Hello everyone, welcome to Hawkeye Traders. My name is Randy Lindsay, host of today's live training class. I'm here to educate and inform you on the proper use of Hawkeye on the live edge of the market. Make sure I get my disclaimer here going. I want you guys to know that we are here for educational purposes only, that we are not registered trading advisors. We do not try to suggest that you purchase any equity position or any future or stock position. We are not licensed to do so. Any past performance that we show you in the class is not indicative of any future results. Make sure that you use common sense and please get advice from a competent financial advisor before you start investing any money in any of these markets. Okay. Futures, stock, and forex trading has a large potential for reward, but they also have a large potential for risk. You need to understand those risks and be aware of them and be willing to accept them in order to invest in these markets. Please do not trade with real money in a live trading account that you cannot afford to lose, especially if you've not proven or tested your trading plan in a simulated account. So make sure that that's done before you ever start trading. There may be some positions that we own here at Hawkeye during our discussions today, so I'll make sure and let you guys know that beforehand so we don't have any problems with that. And we'll go ahead and get started there. Good to see all of you guys in here today. Looks like I'm starting to see people in all kinds of venues across the webinar, the web space. So it's good to see you guys. William, Richard, and David, and Bruce. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. Everybody else, obviously, there's a whole room full of people here. I'm just naming off just a few people who have already asked questions, but thank you for being part of my class. I will endeavor to answer all of your questions. And there was a good question that came right at the very beginning of the class, so I want to make sure I cover that first. David asked a question about volume. Just if you guys were watching or not, I was watching this. Really nice run up into overhead resistance here, coming off of the morning open, and then it bounced right off. You can see a signal to short came in right here just before the open. So if you are following this and watching, if you follow Hawkeye, and if you know the rules, then you know the entry long coming up into this was a great turnaround because we saw the volume push right there. Look at this huge buying volume with volume radar indicating that a huge amount of buyers were coming into this big sell-off here. They're trying to get the price low, push everybody's stops out in order to run that back up again. And then once it got up to the top here, okay, boom, you start seeing sellers coming back in, price trying to come back up, but sellers jumped right on that. Look at this, a whole series of sell train coming in, enough to push the price down, continued selling back down into this, and a huge volume of selling on the open. So it's really key for you as traders to understand volume. And I'll continue to preach that until I get buried. But volume really is a key to understanding these markets and to trading them. Hawkeye equips you with a clear understanding of volume and the interaction of volume with price to help you to take these trades and to start becoming consistently profitable in your trading. All right, so to look at the question was, on volume indicator, Hawkeye volume radar, what are the dots representing and what are the different colors? Also, why on some charts are the dots not plotting? Okay, you can see on this chart right here, the Hawkeye volume, and let me get a little bit bigger one that only has volume on it. Here we go. Okay, Hawkeye volume is showing you a clear indication of buyers, which is identified by a green bar, sellers, red bars, and neutral or no demand by white bars. Okay. The volume radar colors are identifying red as extremely high volume, ultra high volume. The yellow is very high volume. Of course, it's not ultra high, but is very high. Ultra high volume is showing greater than twice the average volume up to that point from the preceding 20 price bars. Okay, and very high volume, we're looking at 1.5 times the volume. However, there are some that are ultra low. You see this one right here. The cyan colored one is ultra low volume. Ultra low volume, you can see as identified here, is extremely low as compared to previous volume bars. So what we're trying to do is identify key areas of volume that are important for you to notice. So in this case, we are seeing that these volume are here for a specific reason, either economic events or news announcements, political events, or something that's causing volume to exceed the norm. And so that's all the volume radar does, is it points out significant volume bars that you need to be paying attention to relative to the current price action. So that's all that does. What this is telling you is that you have a series of very low volume coming into all of a sudden some high volume pushing, getting into a specific area. So volume is showing us what the market is intending to do. They wanted to drive the market up, and now we can see even more. They wanted to drive it up so that they could then push it back down again. So these types of gyrations are to me, very despicable. But at the same time, you can still see what the market's doing long before the trend ever comes into play. You can see exactly the trail off of volume long before the real price action ever started kicking back in again. Does everyone follow that? David, was I able to answer those questions? Why doesn't it appear on some charts and not others? Whenever you have volume magnitude, you will be able to see that. But on some charts, like tick charts, you will not see volume radar on any tick charts because all of the chart volume heights are equal. So because they are all equal, you're not going to see that variation or the difference in the volume magnitudes. And so there's no reason to even have it on there because it just won't print it out. But on any other chart where you do have a volume magnitude, where if you were to modify your volume, then for volume, you can use either trade volume, which is the volume magnitude, which is true volume, or the tick count, which is an approximation for volume, but it uses the overall difference between price changes and the amount of ticks involved in that. So it uses tick count instead of volume, so it's either one or the other. So in this case, we are using the true volume associated with that. So in that case, the volume radar is applicable. That was a very quick introduction to volume, but what volume does is it shows you that the volume price bars that we have here is a tool that paints on top of the volume to show you the interaction of volume with price. On the chart I was showing you earlier, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up now. Okay, you can see that prior to the market, these purple bars are showing you that you've got a very wide range of price occurring at that time. Okay, so a wide bar, purple, tells you that it's twice average true range of the price bars coming up into that. So you can see the tenor or the flavor of the market at any specific time using the volume paint bar because it paints onto the bars the actual demand or supply that's coming into this market, either buyers or sellers, and then what their true intent really is coming into that. So when you see that, when you get to a point where you've either broken support or resistance, if you don't have Hawkeye tools, but you're looking at trading, then Hawkeye volume is the key tool to add to whatever that you're using. Because if you're a trend line trader and you're looking at trying to establish a trend line and you can see price violating or breaking that trend line, and that violation of price is supported by volume, that means red volume, sellers coming in, and you can see there's a nice steady and increasing volume coming in. That gives you a lot more confidence to take that trade. What Hawkeye does, though, is it takes it one step further in that you can see that trend break, but then it gives you a confidence that the trend gets to a specific point, And because we couple it with triple time frames, that helps us to look at the longer term perspective of a trade. And while we may not get in at the earliest possible point, we do get in at a safe point, which is where a price acceleration is about to occur. So we're not trading by we think the market's going to go. We're trading more on probabilities and risk. Okay, we're trying to minimize the risk in the trade by getting to a point in the trade development where the probability the trade will go in our favor is high. And the probability of risk and being stopped out is lowered. And that's the idea. Carmelo, absolutely. You asked is it possible to add other indicators on the chart while using the software? Absolutely, yes. You can see I'll pull this up here as well. I show just the Hawkeye tools as well, but if you want to add any other indicator to the chart, there's no limitation to whatever indicator that you want to have. So if you want to have, I don't know, any moving averages that you want to throw on there, or any other interest, anything that you have accessible will plot in addition to the charts that are currently on the screen. So there's no real limitation to that. Right here, for example, I was using a trend line, but I can throw on, I think I've got some moving averages and MACD, and I think I've got some stochastics. There's some Bollinger Bands going on. So, you can throw a lot of other lines on there. It doesn't really matter. There's an ADX. So they all work with Hawkeye. Does it work on MT4? Absolutely. Here's the MT4 platform right here. So absolutely does not matter what indicator you use. Any of the indicators that you have in your arsenal will also work on that. So throwing your MACD in, obviously, we'll plot your RSI, your stochastics, everything should work and function just exactly the way you would expect it to on a chart. So Hawkeye is not going to limit that at all. It's not going to interfere at all with what you're doing. But what I wanted to point out was that it greatly enhances whatever you're currently trying to do. So if you currently have volume, or if you currently have a chart where you are trading, say, different chart values, here's a bunch of different charts, then if you can integrate and add Hawkeye volume to that chart, then that helps you to understand and take a much better approach to trading these markets. Any decision point that you have, oops, I took the zones, didn't I? Can I watch when I'm dragging here? Volume, that's what I was looking for. There we go. There, adding volume helps you to see and apply the charts and the methods that you are currently using. Whenever you see an entry signal or an exit signal, whenever you see expansion or contraction, if volume supports it, it's going to give you a whole lot more confidence to take the trade and to apply the rules. Okay. All Hawkeye does is it just takes that to the next level, uses the same type of rule set. Okay. Instead of just only using volume, then we couple volume with trend. So instead of using a moving average crossover, then we are looking at standard deviation and price action. We're looking at pattern recognition in order to say this is a point where price has gotten, where volume has aligned, where momentum has come into play, and they all align to give us a signal which we have high confidence will go in our favor and will continue to go in that favor. So when the trend dot changes to green, we know that we're looking for long trade entries. When the trend dot changes red, we're looking for short. The lines that you see underneath are just our automatic trailing stop. It's the initial stop that you take, the risk that you'd put into the trade in order to hold the trade for the duration. And as that trade comes to a completion, then it gets violated, and then you have a new stop established, a new trend established, and then a new stop to follow on. Okay, so Hawkeye's software suite gives you all the capabilities to be able to handle that, regardless of the market that you're trading in. The package that you're looking at right here is the Hawkeye Total package. The Total package is a suite that includes the Hawkeye Trend and Stops. Okay, it includes the heat map, includes the Profit Accelerator. It includes volume radar, the volume paint bar, these little pivots and wide bars. It includes the roadkill, which you see here, the roadkill, the heat map, higher time frame, and another roadkill are all part of the same one. It also includes the Fatman and the levels ATR. Levels ATR is the tool that we use to get measured average price in the market. So average true range, fixed profit target points. Any point that we put them onto the chart, then we can take measured risk versus reward profit targets out of that, and it's automatic and very easy to use and apply to your charts. All of that is included with the total package. The Fatman is a tool that allows you to look at strength versus weakness. You're looking for overbought versus oversold conditions, and so you're looking for those overall trends. So when you're looking for the pound US dollar and whether you want to be trading that, then at this point right here, then you can see that trading a short pound versus a long dollar, the risk or the probability will be in your favor when that setup occurs. Okay, so the idea is to take that, look at your charts, find out at this particular time right here, am I aligned and ready to enter based upon the setting? So that was a 1930. Let me click on this chart and see about a 1930. Okay, so this is about a 1200. So this is way earlier, right? So you can see that the sells for this came in probably about 3 to 4 hours before this sell actually came in. So that's the idea behind that. Here you're seeing that strength has ended, has started to come out, and you're looking for this, and that gave you about a 3 or 4 hour heads up that this sell was going to be coming in. And that was enough information to give you almost 100 pip profit right there, just following that same entry. If you took your profits at specific points. There's a 40 pip, there's a 70 pip, and so forth. So simple rules to follow, simple rules to apply, a methodology that's proven to work over time. That's the Hawkeye method. So for those of you who are new to my class today, want to get started with Hawkeye, I'll very quickly show you a quick way to do that. I have a special that I give to everybody who comes to my class, and I'll paste the link here in the chat window there. And I will show you the page right here. So if you type it in, hawkeyetraders.com/WED Wednesday, then it will take you to a special order page that will ask you and tell you the specifics of the Hawkeye Volume Starter Package. Normally, on the Hawkeye Traders site, let me go to there for you real quick. Then if you go to our store, then the starter package is what we sell every day right here on the store for $360. Everything that's included with that: full membership, all the users' guides and trading rules, access to our Skype chat group, Inner Circle, and then all the software as well for $360. But today, if you follow this special link, then you can have access to all of that just for $97 just to get started. So I want to make sure and share that with you there. What that includes is everything in the volume starter package. Is the volume radar, the volume paint bar, the pivots, and the wide bars. Here's one right here, wide bar here, and that's going to be a wide bar possibly. There's one right here. Okay, that's to get started. If you have your trading based on candle charts, absolutely, you can just click on your candle charts. You can go through and identify your candles, identify your plots. Hawkeye Volume Paint Bar will automatically paint on top of your candles. So if you don't want your candles colored based upon volume, then you can just remove that. But there's no problem with using or interpreting Hawkeye using candle charts at all. You would like to look at Dow on the daily chart. Okay, I don't have the Dow on my MT4, so I'll have to go back over to TradeStation here to show that. Here is a daily chart, and I'll put in the YM continuous contract. The Dow Jones continuous contract here for a daily. You can see election. This was the U.S. election results. This was the bar that came in. And so this has been what a lot of people are calling the Trump bump. Okay, the bump in the markets based upon the election results, and so you're looking at a very strong price action coming in. Up to that point, it was very, very static, very neutral. There was a lot of negativity coming in, but as soon as the results were made known, there was a really big push, and so Hawkeye gave you a really nice, easy to follow entry signal following this initial push up, and which has taken you a good 1,000 points up from that point, beginning on the initial bump with the continued rise there. I show these with price action because I like open, high, low, close bars. You shouldn't be limited to that at all. You can always turn your candles on at any point to see things that you might be familiar with. But Hawkeye is very flexible strategy. It works on any time frame, and once you understand the use and the concept of our method where you're aligning triple time frames with price action and volume, then once you understand that, you can apply the concept to any time frame, whether you're looking at swing trading, the exact same indexes, or intraday day trading, okay? Or if you're even trying to trade with charts that are not time-based, like tick charts or range bars, then you can see that the method still is applicable and applies whenever you see an alignment of a triple time frame. Then the Hawkeye signals will give you a entry signal based upon those time frames and whether you're trading it. And you can see it can be on equity markets, futures markets, forex markets, commodities. It's not really, it doesn't really matter. Okay, good. So I was following this coming up into it. I was also looking at gold this morning. Gold's got a setup. Crude oil overnight dropped in the London Open. And I was watching how that was a really sweet trade. I usually come in about 6 in the morning and I look for a really nice setup for crude oil, but I noticed that it had already occurred by the time, and I knew I was just going to be getting into a bunch of noise after that. But the London Open came in, and then we got a really nice drop just after the London Open here. Initial drawdown, you could see the volume coming in prior to that, and then here you got continuation. Volume came in. Anytime you see no volume, when you see these volume radars, I'll expand that here just for you a little bit more here. But when you see this price extending up into new highs, looking like it's trying to build, but then you start to see no demand. See this right here, right there, no demand, no demand. Then that means that there's just no follow through. Price is trying to go, there's no follow through. There's really only one place for it to go. Okay, so that's down. And then when you start to see the selling coming in and the selling coming in, there's no demand, then something came wrong. Something came out that said price is headed down. Okay. This price break below the base that was formed with selling volume was your entry signal. That was your key to get in right there. Okay? And Hawkeye was right there telling you that this was an entry signal and this was an entry signal both times. So if you didn't get in there, then here's a second chance to get in, and then that's where the real acceleration took place. Okay, what's volume telling you right here? Okay. Volume is extending down, creating a new low, but you can see where the close is. Okay, you've got volume telling you that this trend has a high probability of being over. Okay, that this could be complete, and then it goes right into a nice choppy sideways price action. So understanding volume and applying it to your charts is really key to see that. I keep giving you examples of the trade because if I were to go right now to the live edge of the market, it's going to take a long time for me to come up with an example to be able to show you. But I do like to show that. And right when we started the class today, we had a really beautiful entry signal that came on the YM as well, which I told you before we shifted over into the volume discussion. But I wanted you to see, even on the live edge of the market, okay, when you are looking at setups, okay, then you can see and interpret this and interpret what volume is trying to tell you. Okay. When I got my initial trend, I can see that my volume and momentum was here, but you can see my third time frame volume wasn't quite ready. Right here, you can see that. Okay, first time frame, momentum, volume. So I got a signal to enter based upon my first and second time frame. The third time frame volume here was white. Now I can take an entry with a white third time frame volume, but it's really on risk. I'm adding risk to my table on the table, and the idea is not to increase the risk in the trade. The idea is to decrease risk in the trade. You want to be a minimized risk, high probability trader. In order to do that, you want to make sure that volume is in agreement with the trade direction. White volume is neutral, so it's not against us, but it's not in agreement. So I would prefer to hold. Okay, so you can also see at this point that volume is good on the current time frame and the momentum is good on the current time frame. So you've got a heat map, volume, second time frames, volume, and heat map is also good. So everything is good except my third time frame. So as soon as this red volume bar paints right here, and if I have good volume, which I don't, on my current time frame, then I can enter. See, so then even right when it does agree, I can't enter. So I still have to wait, right? I still have to wait. But if I get one more price bar in, you can see there is the alignment that occurs. Okay, I get a nice price break. I see volume. I see heat map. I see volume, which is signaled by my roadkill. Again, I get a nice double dot signal and it aligns with my current volume and heat map. So that's the trigger bar. That's the bar that says, Randy, get into the market right now because everything has aligned and this shows me my entry. So when I see this occur and I see the double dot alignment and that occurs, then I go over to my trade entry, I click my entry button, and that's the point I enter. Most of the time this occurs really quickly, so I'll usually enter with the market order, but a lot of times if you have a lot of slop or if you're trading on a slower computer and you have a lot of lag, then you might get a really bad fill. So you might want to trade with limit orders. And if you do take a limit order, then take a limit order at the close of your trigger bar. And that should be your entry price. So limit order, close of bar, wait for it to get triggered. If it does not trigger and get you in that trade, then just wait for a new entry signal. Okay. Hans wants to know, how many live accounts can I work with one system? You can work with two on two different computers or two separate live or simulated accounts. It doesn't matter for any license. So if you have two accounts that you're currently trading and set up, then there's no problem with that. And if you're speaking about MT4 specifically, then you can set up two specific different instances of MT4 and run it. Now, if you want to run with the same account, then you can run it as many times as you want. But with a live account or a setup account. With MT4, you can only do 2 accounts per license of Hawkeye. We can do an extension for a special request, but per license you can only have 2 accounts. On TradeStation, you can do on any number of accounts that you have. So if you have 20 accounts, you can have one license of Hawkeye to run all 20 because it's licensed to the platform itself and it's not licensed to the account. Whereas in MT4, it is licensed to the account because the platform itself does not have a user identifiable number. So we license it to the account itself. But you are able to have 2, a live and a demo, a home computer, a work computer, and so forth. So you can have those set up any way that you like. The same with eSignal. eSignal it's linked to your eSignal login username. So if you have multiple accounts set up with eSignal, then you can trade all of those accounts with your single eSignal login. You're very welcome, Richard. You're welcome, Hans. What are the yellow dots on the pound dollar M15? All right, let me pull that up. These yellow dots are the Hawkeye Pivot. Hawkeye Pivot shows you the isolated high or the isolated lows in the market. So an isolated low is a low where the previous low and next low are higher than the current, and the previous high and next high are higher than the current. That's an isolated low. An isolated high, any of these, is a point where the high is higher than the previous and next, and the low is higher than the previous and next. So it points a pivot or a reversal point, short-term reversal point in the market. We expect to see 3 to 5 price bars of reversal following a pivot. That's on average. Doesn't always occur, but we expect it and we usually look for that. All right, thank you, Hans. I appreciate that. Yeah, add that too. Once you see, then you'll see that it's hard to not trade with volume once you have volume on your arsenal. It's just it's almost next to impossible to trade without. I would not trade without it. Thank you. Okay, Phil, is the price for the basic monthly a one-time fee? It's a one-time fee, Phil. We don't have right now a subscription fee. We are looking at trying to come up with a lease plan. A lot of people, when they come up to the software purchase window here, a lot of people say they don't really have this much money to put down on the software. So that's when we have a starter module to get people integrated in, and then they can just simply upgrade by applying what they purchased here to the price that they paid for the next one. But we're looking at possibly coming up with a lease program to lease into these over time. So instead of buying it and adding individual modules, so it's up to you. But right now we don't. So right now it's only just a one-time purchase. So, is there anyone here who already owns the Hawkeye volume module, but would like more information on upgrading to any of the other packages, like the standard package or the professional? You must already own the volume package first, the starter package, and if you do, then I've got a special link for you to upgrade if that is you. Otherwise, we can just forward on with our training. Could I show the Australian New Zealand dollar daily and the 4-hour? Okay, I'd be glad to. Just with volume or with the system? I don't know if I have a long-term one set up here, but you're looking for Australian, New Zealand. There it is. I'm so used to the MT4 professional platform that using regular MT4 seems a lot more redundant, but I like just clicking on a single button and all of my charts changing for me. I have to drag and drop still, so I'm getting used to this. Okay, so now we're looking for an H4 in a daily, so I'll just change this one to an H4. This one I'll change to a daily. This one I'll change to an hourly. So looking at an hourly H4 and a daily. So this would be the ideal setup for that. So if you're looking at your Fatman setup, if your primary chart's the hourly chart, then you would want to set that up to be an H4. And then your longer term you'd have set up for your daily. And this would be the ideal setup if you're trading longer terms. But if you're just looking for these two charts, then the H4 is set here to look at the H4 Fatman. So Australia and New Zealand they're kind of snaking together. That you see some dissimilar action here, but there's not a lot of differences in that. So it looks like it is pretty choppy also. So longer term, it does look like they are both becoming overbought. There could be a small sell-off, but this does not look like a good pair to trade on the longer term if you're looking for overall trades. It's much noisier than a lot of the other pairs are in trading. Okay, but you can see when they do become dissimilar, the Australian is stronger. Okay, in these, so you can see where that small term weakness comes from, and vice versa. Whenever you see the overbought nature and it's selling off, then the weakness that you see from here, all right, comes back in with strength, and then you can see the rally back right up again. You can see the difference there. But this doesn't look like a real good setup trade on either the longer terms. Better setups right now, if you're looking longer term, would be against anything against the pound, because the pound is showing itself to be extremely weak relative to all the other currencies. And the Japanese yen itself is looking extremely strong. Okay. So on a daily setup, those are the longer term plays you're going to be looking at trying to get those set up. The US dollar has gone through a good long period of weakness, but it should be turning up. And on the shorter term intraday, then you can see that that pound is cycling back up. So it looks like it cycles from extreme weakness, okay, to strength, and then now it's going to probably wander around a little bit. So you can see the time differences that are there. And if you go more intraday, then you can kind of see that evolving even more. So you can see there are certain pairs that tend to trade a little bit easier than others. And so the Fatman is really good on showing you that and helping you to see the time differences applicable to those. The Fatman is not part of the starter package. The Fatman is sold separately, or it's included in the total package. So on MT4, we do not have a professional package per se, but we do have the MT4 total package, and the total package is $500 less than the professional because it does not have all the tools that are included in the Pro package. But the Hawkeye Fatman is included in that total package. Or you can purchase the Fatman separately if you wanted to add that to your starter package, where a lot of our students do that. They'll get started with Hawkeye with the volume. They'll see the Fatman, they'll apply that to their package, so they'll take this and apply that to their volume chart, and it will give them a whole lot more information to that. So the Fatman is an independent software tool. Any purchase that you make outside of the package can be applied to the price. So if you wanted later on to purchase the total package, which includes both the volume and the Fatman, then we will give you a discount on the price based upon what you've already purchased. You're welcome. Rupert, Did I say that I have a deal to upgrade for current starter volume orders? I do. I absolutely do. Let me go and get that. Okay, here's the link for you. I will paste it into the chat, and I will paste it here for you here. Right. If you go to the upgrade page, HawkeyeTraders.com/upgrade, then that gives you a link to be able to take that volume starter package. And I'll pop it in right here. Right. So what we've done is you normally would pay $360 for the starter package. If you purchase that $97 program, then if you upgrade to either the standard or the professional package, we will give you a full $360 credit, not $97, which is what you paid, but we'll give you the full credit for what you would have paid if you had just bought it straight out towards the purchase of your standard or your professional package. And that also includes the total package for MT4. So the MT4 package is also going to be given a 360 discount off of the normal 14. So it'll be 1137. No, it'd be a 1070 something, I forget. So it'll be, yeah, it'll be 30, yeah, 1137. It'll be 1497 minus 360. 1137. So it's a one-off. Right? So if you're interested in doing that, then that's a special there for you right there. You'd like to add the Tomahawk software. Okay, let me show you that real quick, what the Tomahawk software does. Hawkeye Tomahawk is a unique scalping software package. We have a full-time trainer, Marcus. He's our Tomahawk trading room trainer. He's there full time to show you how the Hawkeye Tomahawk system works, how it's optimized for use in trading and scalping the forex markets, which is probably one of the hardest markets to scalp in. But it's very difficult to consistently scalp in the market. But the Hawkeye Tomahawk system is a color-coded system that looks at triple time frame Fatman coupled with a Hawkeye scanner, which identifies strong versus weak currencies. Okay, so $47 gets you into 1 full month, 30 days of the Tomahawk training room. So if you go to Hawkeye Traders website, HawkeyeTraders.com, under education, of course you can always find it over here, but under education you'll find the Tomahawk Forex training room, a location where you'll find more information about that. There's also a link here that'll help you to get started with that. So right here is a 30-day trial membership for $47. You'll get 30 full days to see if that's going to be right for you. So there's a link for that to get going on that, Sven. So let me post that in the room here for you. And it's a link to get going. And what this includes, what this does is it gives you access to all of the software once you've completed your trial. Okay, you complete your trial. If you looks like the software is just what you want, then the entire suite of Hawkeye tools for Tomahawk will be included in your monthly subscription. So you don't have to purchase the software in order to apply it and use it to the market. So it's a monthly subscription fee in order to do that. So all of the software that you see on the screen is included in your subscription, monthly subscription. The trend and stops, the volume, the scanner, the Fatman. So that's one way to identify and to look at Hawkeye and to start applying it to the charts and to your markets. You're very welcome, Sven. Okay, you're Magnus's friend. Thank you. I forgot about that. That's the link to do that. Very good. Thank you. Magnus will be good. He's a good teacher. You want to see it on MT4. Okay, yeah, okay, this is the MT4. And does it work in MT4 Professional? Okay, well, let me show you that just real quick. MT4 Professional. The MT4 platform has some limitations to it, and so what we've done is we're working with another company called Resilient Traders, who's developed a a a platform extension to MT4 that we refer to as MT4 Pro, which it gives you the capability to load and run multiple time frames or any of our charts on a unified framework. So we've got here a control panel, a command center, and a desktop area. So with one click, I can pull up any workspace that I've already saved. What that includes is a suite of software that does any software that you currently already have on MT4. So I show my software, which is Hawkeye, but you can show any other software that you have preloaded. For example, here's some moving average crossover points. Okay, so just standard charts that you might have set up, moving averages. If you can see that this color-coded scanner on the left over here is a MT4 first. Also, if you can see that there is a V-line function. A V-line allows you to vertically align a single line on any chart on any time frame. So it gives you uniform alignment across all of the charts on any time frame. So you can see my daily, my H1, my H4. I can see exact perfect alignment across all time frames. That's an MT4 first as well. The scanner itself shows you the alignment of crossover. So when you see the crossover of price relative to that at any point, then you can see that there is Australian US dollar is long across all four of my time frames, hourly, 4-hour, daily, and weekly. And I can very quickly see across all the pairs which ones are very weak, which ones are very strong, or which ones are kind of halfway in between. Okay, so that's a really good setup. So in applying that to any of the Hawkeye tools, oops, then you can see I have a one-click setup on my workspace, so I can just pull up any of the desktops. Okay, I can pull up any workspaces within that desktop if I have a specific setup. For example, my Hawkeye Tomahawk scanner. And I can pull up a screen that shows my Tomahawk scanner on the screen. You can also see that I have a separate chart window. This chart window is linked over here to my other charts. Let me make sure that is. So you can see I click on the symbol list and it automatically changes the chart to the symbol I clicked on. So I'm looking at the Australia, New Zealand, and boom, I've got the Australian. I don't have to worry about dragging and dropping this stuff. So it's really nice to be able to do that. If I want to change my symbol list, then I can go and change that symbol list to US dollar only, because I can see US dollar starting to strengthen on the long short term, but against the Australian and New Zealand, it's beginning to weaken. So you can see that I have the US dollar pairs loaded now. And then if I want to click and look at any of the chart patterns for that, then you can see that, yes, I have had a lot of strength on the Australian, but it's starting to weaken against the US dollar now. So I might be looking at that for much shorter term scalp trade setups or other times. So I can pull up my other Tomahawk charts very quickly as well. So if I look at the Australian charts, then I can see all of my Australian charts set up. You can see the Australian US is definitely setting up for a potential short. You can see that you're getting a nice long breakout in the euro, the pound. So it looks like you're starting to see some setup and some movement in that Australian pair. So I can always go right back to my Australian pair again and see the euro Aussie. Pound Aussie. Oh, why am I not changing when I click on it? It's because I've fixed all these. These charts are preloaded with symbols. So that way I don't want the symbols to change if I accidentally click on one of my symbol lists. And so I've elected to fix those up. So It's a really nice platform. I really love the interaction, the ability, if I were to change my screen to get more real estate. Notice every time you try to get more real estate, you have to resize individual windows. Okay, here you just click this one button right here, redraw, and it automatically redraws everything, fits everything into my new size perfectly, and I have much more real estate to work with. So if I want to pull in my other charts, if I want to set this back up again, then I don't have to worry about changing things. It automatically remembers and it pulls it right back up and formats it all just for me. All right, so you can see that right here. I had an alignment that came in. You can see right across the board, the momentum, the volume, everything was aligned to get me into this trade and to help me to say, this is a great entry point. I want to take that or not. Okay, so sweet. New trade obviously gives you the order entry bar, gives you the ability to set a stop loss, which is the red line that you see here. You can take and move that to any point. If you want to sell, then you move it up. You put your take profit point in, do the same thing with it. You move it to wherever you want it to be able to have that profit. It automatically calculates your risk reward based upon the difference between the current price and the stop and the current price and your take profit point. So if that's too low for the current stop you have to take, then you have to say, I don't want to take that trade because it doesn't match my risk reward profile. So it's really great. It's a nice tool to help you calculate that. All the trades are going to be based upon percent risk in your account. So if I want to take 1% risk of my account size, then I just simply enter a 1. If I have a large account and I don't want to take that many contracts, then I will reduce this to 0.01. So I want to take a tenth or a hundredth of a percent. So this is 0.01% of my entire account. Based upon this risk, will automatically give me the proper position size for that trade. So if a trade looks like it's setting up very nicely, then I will want to have a normal sized risk on that trade because I want to be properly position sized on that trade. Okay. To enter a trade, you can see that since my take profit and stop is above each other, all I have is my sell market. I don't have a limit order capability. So the only button I can push on here is a sell market. However, if I were to put an entry line in right here, this gives me the ability to set a sell limit, or if I were to take and move that down, then I can make that a sell stop. So that way I can put it to a specific point. If price gets to that point, boom, I'll be in the trade. There's my profit target. And then I can set my stop accordingly. If I'm looking at just trying to hit this and just scalp, and you can see my risk reward is a little bit better, but by the time it gets down to here, then I'll have a much better profile. So you can see that if you take those or not, I'm going to take that entry off. I can remove my stop loss or take profit and just click OK. It also exits out of the trade without actually entering a trade. So it's very clever and it's very handy and it's very useful to use. So that's just a quick summary of what MT4 Professional is about. So I'll go back to regular MT4 environment. And like I said earlier, I like to be able to just click on a symbol and have it change to my charts, but you can't do that. You have to drag and drop, which is okay, but it's just not what I'm used to. The dots on the scanner box were the Hawkeye volume. So the scanner was showing Hawkeye trend, Hawkeye volume, and Hawkeye heat map all at the same time. So it actually is a true Hawkeye scanner, very much like the radar screen or the market analyzer, but it's now in MT4. So you can scan all the markets for that. That's true. So if you want more information about that, then just go to MT4 Professional's website, mt4professional.com, to find out more or find out how to get your own copy of MT4 Professional. I am definitely supporting it because it adds so many features to Hawkeye that it's like the Hawkeye Zones. Hawkeye Zones was developed by a company called AppaZones, but I saw how valuable it was to our software. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we created an agreement together to be able to co-market and present the software. So now we've included it in our methodology and training. We actually support it. MT4 Professional likewise is a software independent platform that allows you to use any software that you have on MT4. It doesn't have to be Hawkeye, but I liked it so much that we got a sole marketing agreement with MT4 Professional to market the product and to present it. And right now we are presenting it to our Hawkeye clients and in our Hawkeye world in order to get the first look at it to see if it's useful. I absolutely love it, and I'm starting to. The more I use it, the more I actually like using it. So just wanted to share that with you. All right, so here we are back in the world of futures. Oh wow, you can see a big reversal after this big sell. So the market's open this morning. Boom, big sell off into the market. Big old wide bar. We know that anytime we see a wide bar, what's our wide bar rule tell us? Don't take a trade immediately following a wide bar. That's right. That's exactly what it tells you. So applicable to 15-minute time frames or greater. So you see immediately bright bar, this bar closes down. Usually price is sucked back into the body of the wide bar and you cannot take a trade until you see a close above or below that wide bar. So now we're just waiting and watching and seeing if we're going to get a close above this point, then we'd be looking long. If we get a close below this point, we would be looking short. So that's the wide bar rule. The link for the starter package, let me put that in for you here so you can get going on that. And I will post it back in the chat area again so you can click on that. So just go over there to the chat window on the right hand side, right over here, right hand side of your GoToWebinar, and you'll be able to see that chat window there. And then just click on the link or just click on the link I just gave you there. Savino wanted me to show the ES. I'll be glad to. What time frame on the ES? The ES looks very similar to the YM this morning. You have a very short rally coming up into the opens, a lot of weakness driving down into the market. Okay, big exuberant sell-off here. Okay, then with huge amount of volume, and then you've got a lot of no demand. Okay, so that's basically price coming back up into the window of that wide bar right there. So here's the top again, 2266 is the peak. We break above that, then we're looking to establish a long trend in that, but we need to have Hawkeye tell us whether to get into that or not. If the trend dot, volume, momentum, second time frame, third time frame don't agree, then we won't take the trade. We'll just stand aside and wait for the market to set itself up. But if you're trading intraday and you're trading tick charts, then you can see the tick charts give you a totally separate flavor. So what the Hawkeye tool set has done is given you a tool that's called the Gearbox. Hawkeye Gearbox is a tool that looks at the overall volatility of the market. So you can see over time, the market breathes, okay? You got volume expansion and contraction, you got coming in and coming out. So you can see that over time, there's a large amount of volatility and volume that comes in and out of the market. So the Gearbox gives you prescribed and optimized tick settings to use for any trading day and allows you to trade based upon those settings. So currently, this chart is an 881. So let me change that to it. This one should be a 1762. $35.24. Data's a little bit slow right now. And a 70.48. There. All right. So I have all my charts set up. So now I've got an equivalent alignment of the charts Okay, within the ticks, here's my little countdown to tell me how many ticks are left in this current bar. You can see that I have established a 15-minute range, and that we are coming up and testing the upside of that range based upon the current open. The current open, big sell-off, but then we're trading right back up into that. So we'll see based upon the point. If we get a nice close above that, again, 2266 does look like the point that we're going to be looking at establishing potential trade entries. But until then, Hawkeye is saying, stay away. You're not gonna like that. David, hi, your question came in and I missed it. On the daily Fatman, I just highlighted the yen strength and the pound weakness, but presumably you would be looking for trades based on both of these reversing. Absolutely. That is absolutely correct, David, and very good, astute. Again, looking at that daily, the weakness here, it's extremely weak, but you would be looking for a long. You're looking for this to continue back up into strength. So anytime you see this chart, then you can see that prices, when they're overbought, tend to cycle back down and become oversold. And when they're oversold, they tend to cycle back up and become overbought. Okay, so you're looking for that disparity. So that disparity will come in and show you're looking for potential long-term long against the pound yen, for example, because that's a really good setup. The pound to Australian is another good possible setup. You see the US dollar has cycled down. When it starts turning back up again, then you would be looking for anything relative, any of these currencies relative to that strength against the US dollar. The yen being primary. Joseph, you have the starter package from last year. Okay, it's not currently working on the, yeah, eSignal has come up with an update, and we need to update the software to work on its current release because their release broke a lot of third-party programs. So there are a lot of third-party integrators with eSignal that are scrambling right now, but very much like what they did with NinjaTrader. But if you want to use MT4 in the meantime, just let us know. We'll be more than glad to move your license over to MT4 to get you going on that. Absolutely, Johnson. So you can do that. Joseph, I mean. Johnson wanted to know if there's a starter package for MT4, and absolutely. Or if you wanted to move it over to one of the other platforms in the meantime, we can definitely take care of you for that. If you'd like to do that, we can move you over to another platform, or just go back to the older install of eSignal. If you go to Hawkeye's main website, HawkeyeTraders.com, then on the front page there is a newsroom, and on the newsroom, not this one here, but the next one that comes up after that probably will tell you the upgrade to eSignal has caused some problems with the software. So there's the forex trading room. I think it's the next one, but it'll show you right here on the front page whether to use the software or not. Here it is right here. Don't upgrade to 12.4. There's a serious problem. It's preventing the software from running. So if you stay with 12.3, then it should work. Okay, so that's the idea behind that. Otherwise, we can definitely accommodate you on a different platform. Right now, none of our software works on Thinkorswim. You can use your Thinkorswim accounts if you already have one on NinjaTrader. All of our software works on NinjaTrader, and you can link your Thinkorswim account through NinjaTrader if you're trading off of that. But right now, none of our software runs solely on Thinkorswim. So Johnson asked, is the starter package one-time installation for MT4? Yes, it is. So if you go to the same link I'd given you before, hawkeyetraders.com/WED or Wednesday, okay, then you can see that you can click on any of these links here, TradeStation, NinjaTrader, MetaTrader 4, eSignal, or multicharts. eSignal 12.3 for now. So if you're on 12.4, you might not want to do that right now. But we are working on trying to update that. But we are working on TradingView as well. So we have a TradingView install and we're working on it, but all things come with time. So we are working on TradingView. Any other questions on the current platform, the setup, longer time frame, the scanner, or anything else for that matter? Does the volume turning alerts use background volume? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by background volume, but probably you're referring to the reversal signals or the pivots themselves. I don't know what you mean by a turning alert, but rephrase the question. That might help me a little bit. What is this right here? That's not the Fatman, that's a fat boy. Okay, the fat boy uses equities or futures instruments to give you overbought or oversold conditions for the futures market or for commodities. In this particular case, I think I've got this one loaded up. This one is gold. This one is the NASDAQ. That's the S&P 500, the mid cap. This white one is crude oil. And I think the cyan colored one is the bond. US 30-year Treasury note. But let me see what that is. Yep, S&P, the US bond. Yep, it's the US bond, 30-year Treasury bonds. The YM, the mid cap, and crude oil. So it looks like I don't have gold. So which one of these? The yellow one. I'll just pull my data window up. That'll show me very quickly. Data window. Okay, symbol. And pop up my symbol window here. There we go. So I'm looking at the first one is red. So the yellow one is the third one. So that is the US bond. The fourth one is the YM. Purple and then white is crude oil. Okay. So that's the symbol. That's the symbol ratio there. I can put in any symbols that I want here. That's why I don't have these labeled for the symbol I have loaded because they can change at any moment. You can put in any symbol that you like. Rick, when will it be available in TradingView? When we get finished? Probably won't. It probably will be later this year. It will probably be like fall of this year. And I don't have an exact time, so I'm not trying to be coy. I'm just trying to be safe because I don't want to tell you something and then it not be able to, I won't be able to deliver. And then you'll say, but Randy, you said, I know. That's the best I can say. Richard, okay, reversals like price going into opposite, yeah, buy, sell volume. Does that matter with the software? The software helps you to identify that and to see those. Like you can see right here, price was selling down into here, but then you got a rally point and a huge volume bar pops up right there showing you that there's a huge intent for that price, even though it went way down, to rally back up and to push it out. So volume really is key to reversals, and so it's not going to do anything but help you to understand volume during these key reversal locations. You're welcome. Johnson, does the starter package have order parameters, entry, stop, and target points? No, it does not. The starter package simply shows you the what we saw earlier, the volume. And I'll pull up another one here. Volume radar, the volume paint bar, pivot points, and the wide bar. It's just enough software to get you started, get you access to our membership area, to all the trading rules and the on-demand video libraries. It gets you access to our Skype chat group with all the other Hawkeye traders that are there. And so that way you can learn a little bit more about how volume integrates with price in the markets. Use that, like I showed you earlier, with your other tools to help you to see or to trade in a more knowledgeable and lower risk method. But then when you see that applying, if you see that the other tools are helpful, then and only then do we ask that you come over and start looking at upgrading. So absolutely. Sven, how do I know which line time frame when using a 2 roadkill in one screen? Okay. How do you know which one lines up? Well, that's up to you, but you need to identify which one is which. I have my current roadkills set up so that it's not displaying the symbol, but you can turn that back on by formatting the window, status line. And if you go to Analysis Technique and Strategies here on the very top, and if you add that to what's selected, click OK, then you can see that all of the status lines come back on again. And so from this, you can see that I'm looking at a 1 week roadkill. That's relative to my daily. And this heat map here is looking at a 2-day. And this roadkill is looking at a 2-day also. So that shows you right there which ones are which. But and then over time, you should remember that you try to put your faster, longer term frames on top and your slower ones below. So you're always going to be saying, I'm coming from fast to slow, fast to slow. And that's a good way to set it up. So to remove that, then I'll just go back in and format my window, select the analysis technique and remove it. And then now my charts look nice and clean again. So they're there though if I need to name it. It helps you when you're learning. Sven, you cannot set up Fatman for futures like DAX or CAC, FTS or anything because it's made specifically for forex only. So you'll have to use the Fat Boy to do that. But since you are on MT4, the Fat Boy is not a tool that's available on MT4 yet. So looks like you won't be able to show that yet on the MT4 platform. We are looking at expanding the MT4 platform to include both the KISS and the Fat Boy. So all good things come to those that wait. Rick wants to know what the members area looks like. Okay, well, let me show that to you real quick. So the membership site, if you log into the Hawkeye membership area, you'll be directed to the home page. Obviously, you can find out any information about the software from here. You just kind of review that, but it's a review page only. My account just basically gives you the summary of what you have ordered, and it gives you the ability to establish links to your account. So you click on the My Account page, and it allows you to uh, enable your software on the platform that you're using, and it gives you a link to set all that up. It also has trading rule information to download. The training room is a link that allows you to go up and sign up for the monthly Thursday training sessions that we have going on. Every single month we have a full-time surgery class that we go through all of the details with regards to Hawkeye, especially for training, looking at specifically trading the longer term versus shorter term versus scalping, trade setup, and so forth. Registration for that. Today's class, instead of going to the main site, you can always come here and you can click here to register for the normal Wednesday class. And then any other classes that might come in there, we put that down on there. Any of your products, if you have purchased any of your Hawkeye products, then you get access to download them right here. So you get a link to go to the page, MT4 total package, then it gives you a link to go to that page. It gives you some outlines for, here's a link to download the software, very quick summary to install, installation procedures. Here's the indicator guide and quick start rules and stuff. So everything is there ready to go for you for as far as product installation. We have a list of product specific videos to give you an overview of what the product is and what it does. Gearbox Online is just this is if you subscribe to this or not, it's just the Hawkeye Gearbox tool, but it's an online version which gives you the same Hawkeye gearbox settings, but it gives it to you in a tabular form across select markets for the specific times. And so it'll go through for equities, futures, forex markets. It gives you all of the gearbox settings across all of these markets in one fell swoop. And this is just a monthly subscription as opposed to a one-time purchase. And the resources is the one that you'd be the most interested in. Within the resources area, then you can see there are resource links. You can download the 3-step entry exit method, the 6 ways the market moves, the volume secret book if you don't already have that. The little magnifier that I show you all the time. See this little guy right here? Okay, that's this right here. Also, all of our archives. So you can see all of the special mentoring webinars that we held from the time Nigel was even here and on forward. So you can see there's a lot of specific detailed information that we go through in depth on that. Here's all the monthly trading workshops that we go through. And this was back when we used to train every single Thursday, so we would have a special Forex and a special future session every single week. So these are all an hour and a half long. So you can see there's tons of training resources that are available here. In addition, we have all of the Wednesday training rooms, like today's class, all set up here. If you want to be able to see that, then you can see the entire library is stored right here for you to go through and look at all kinds of really good information that's there. So, and then last but not least, you can have an upgrade link. There's an ability to upgrade to from whatever you've purchased to these based upon what you've purchased. So if you've purchased the volume starter package, then you won't be able to upgrade to the roadkill or the tool set because they require the standard package in order for it to work. You can upgrade to the Fatman, to the Fat Boy. You can upgrade to the gear module or the KISS. Any of those you can upgrade to, but you cannot upgrade to those unless you're a standard user. If you're standard, then you can upgrade to both the roadkill and the tool set. And these are members only special upgrade prices, which are not the same as you'd see in the regular store price. So all that's available in the membership site. So I hope that was helpful to you. You get access to the software, you get full access to our members area. So Rupert says the Fat Boy is for stocks, futures, etc., and Fat Man is for forex. That is correct. You want to see, Mike wants to see the NASDAQ long-term, daily, weekly. Okay, so we're already here, so let's just pull up the NASDAQ. It doesn't look as pretty as the YM or the ES, does it? Well, but it's definitely pulling up. You can see that we are in an established uptrend, both on the daily, on the weekly, and on the monthly. Pullback was very close, but still we're still very much in trend on that market as well. There are some signs of topping pan. The last 2 days we have no demand volume coming in. Look at this ultra low volume. Of course, that was a holiday, but you expect to see ultra low volume on holidays. This is a bank holiday here. But we can see there's still, the day afterwards, there's still a no demand that came in yesterday here. A little bit of weakness coming up. There's still, at this point, volume has not returned to say it wants to continue buying or not. But over the whole week, you can see that we still have a weekly volume and monthly volume that's pushing us up. Yes, Richard, 12.3, 64-bit or 32-bit, either one. The tools will work on that, absolutely. David, Tomahawk scanner question. This one confuses me. Okay, well, it might confuse me too then. You're asking, well, Marcus would be the best one to ask that question to, but I'll give it a try. Let me post that question here in the room so everyone can see it. It's kind of long. I'll just put a little dot there and send so everyone can see the question here. But you're saying that if it's lit up, if the yen is lit up but the pound is blank, does that mean I should trade the yen strength? Or, like the Fatman, is actually the opposite? Okay, what that's telling you is if you were to look at that setup, then it depends on what price action is doing right now. Because it's a scalping environment, you have to look at what price is. You're not going to get in because the scanner, you're going to get in because of price and volume. So if we were to go and look at the Tomahawk, I don't have one on TradeStation set up right here, but I do have one set up here on. If you're looking at that pound, let's pull the pound one up then. All right, so your example said that if the Japanese yen was lit up like a Christmas tree, but the pound was blank, it's almost like what the US dollar is right now. Right now, the US dollar is almost very weak, and the yen and the pound both are strong relative to that. Then the pound dollar, you can see, would have a nice long trend. And that's what we see here. Strength versus weakness is the trend, but you can see it's already there. So this could be telling you there's a setup here that things usually when they become overbought tend to cycle out. When you start to see the dollar strengthen, when you start to see these little dots here start to pop up on the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 3 minute, and so forth, then that's when you start to see that strength starting to come back in again. So that's where you would look for reversal points. Until then, I would see this as I'd be looking for a continuation to get back in and ride the strength as long as it's there. But if the strength starts coming out, or if you start to see that the dollar is starting to strengthen, that's when you would start looking to see where your exit signals would be. But you're not going to get in based upon this. You're going to get in based upon price action and volume. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. All right, that concludes my time with you guys today. If there are any other questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact us on our website, HawkeyeTraders.com.